It doesn't come to your head that a president would be a cult leader. Don't tell me it was peaceful. I was there. I got stitches and I'm in pain. And I've been stepped on. They cut my knee. They pulled out my shoulder. Trump's the problem. We got to put him in prison and shut him up.
I am here with Pam Hemphill, who is actually here to paint the picture of a former MAGA supporter that was so deep in that she actually found herself at the Capitol on January 6th, but who saw the error in her way, so to speak, so much so that she went and voted for Joe Biden in South Carolina's primary this year. Now, I want to get to all of that, as well as kind of where you're at now with everything, Pam, but I actually want to start at the beginning and work our way there. So let me ask you this. Before Trump came around, would you have considered yourself political, and were you a Republican if so?
Yes, I've always, well, first, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. And I appreciate what you're doing. Yeah, I've always been a Republican, but I wasn't in politics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a retired alcohol and drug counselor. So talk about addiction, psychology, I'm in it. I've read every book. Mm-hmm. But politics, no, I retired. And what happened, I was doing some little TV shows to help bring awareness for the addiction problem that was going on with heroin addicts. And some friends of mine knew about it, and they were the MAGA girls. So they said, will you come out and interview people and videotape us? I said, oh, sure, it'd be fun, just for fun, not being paid or anything. And that's what got me started. I was videotaping all the events that were happening in Boise, Idaho, regarding the Republicans.
Oh, so then 2016 rolls around and the girls have you come and film these events and do the work. Trump gets the nomination. Were you originally supportive of him? Or if not, how so did you come around to find yourself in MAGA completely?
Well, I got to be honest, not really. When he said, I grab you by the pee, I didn't like that. But I'll tell you what the Republican women do with that. They said, oh, Pam, it's just men locker room talk. They minimize it. And I thought, well, that's kind of very disrespectful. I couldn't understand their thinking at that time. But you kind of they help you overlook that. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So how was it? Did you vote for him in 2016, or when was it that you would have considered yourself a supporter?
Yeah, I was following advice of family and friends, You don't do your own research.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So I think I saw in a couple interviews, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you do consider MAGA to be a cult.
Oh, absolutely.
So then when you originally joined and were supportive of Trump and involved, would you have considered it that from the beginning, or did it kind of become that as he was president?
When I look back, I know about cults. I've worked with clients that were actually as children in a satanic cult. I know about cults. I did some research. It doesn't come to your head that a president would be a cult leader. It doesn't hit you that way. You start thinking that you want to watch out for preachers, right? Or specialized religious groups or something, but not the president, not all the Republicans. You know what I mean? It's like, there's no signs that it's a cult at that time, except for the t-shirts started coming out and the flags. And I said, this is going a little too far,
Okay, yeah. So then there was like little bits and pieces of signs, but maybe not enough for you to just fully realize until you look back in retrospect. So then you're supporting Donald Trump. You would be around the people who got you into MAGA. 2020 comes around, the election happens, all of that. How did you actually find yourself at the Capitol that day? Was it something you knew you were going to do? Was it more spontaneous?
Well, they found out that I had breast cancer. I had surgery. And chemotherapy was coming up for me to start in a couple of weeks. So my family called me and said, how about a Christmas present to go to Washington, D.C. and you could see all the memorials, and make it like a fun thing because you're going to start your chemotherapy. And I thought that would be great. Plus that's what I was doing, videotaping. And I'm live on Facebook in Boise, Idaho. I was like the Boise, Idaho news. Now, I'm not getting paid. I'm an amateur. I want to say amateur citizen journalist, because it was just a fun thing for me. So when I got that gift, I thought I'm going to a rally. You see them on the news with Trump, they're safe. There's no big deal, right? I didn't even know, it's just embarrassing. I didn't even know the transfer of power was happening that day. That's how much I'm involved in politics.
Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of a circumstance. You found the opportunity and took it. I want to ask, because you hear a lot of people on the right, they're saying, oh, it was all peaceful. It was just a protest. You hear the left saying it was violent and insurrection. As somebody who was there, from your eyes, how would you have viewed the event?
Yeah, don't tell me it was peaceful. I was there. I got stepped on. You know that, right? They
Mm-hmm.
stepped on my head. They cut my knee. They pulled out my shoulder. They started it. And if the news could get my side of the Capitol out there more, because I have 19 videos. Now, I'm not on the violent side that you see all the time, right? You don't see my side of the Capitol very few times if anybody ever showed it. But I have a close-up video of it. William Dunphy is talking to an officer. I turned to him. I said, what are you guys talking about? He said, well, we're negotiating. They're going to move the barriers and let us up to the steps. And I thought that would be wonderful. Maybe Trump's going to be there and I'll get closer to videotape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm live in Boise and everybody's watching me, 30,000 viewers.
Mm-hmm.
So they're depending on me showing everything. Well, he pushes the gates and pushes the officers and I go over. Well, I didn't go over. The officer saw that I was panicking, and you can hear me in my video. I go, oh my God, I'm right in the middle of this. So because he pulled me over, I thought they were letting us in. You know how people are pushing too fast at a football game to get in?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm thinking happened. And I'd taken a pain pill, and it made me a little weird. And I'd never taken a pain pill, but I had to because my stitches, they were hurting. I go around, and this is what I went to prison for, picketing and parading. And I'm saying, come on in. I'm embarrassed talking about this. It's your house, like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to the woman, Capitol police officer, she said, they're not letting them in. I said, they're not? Oh my God. I'm telling everybody, come on in. And she said, no, you go back. So I went back, and within minutes, seconds, I can't remember, he did it again. He pushed the barriers, and there were about 20 of them. And the officer, the same one, pulls me back over. So he said, run to the captain. So I ran to the captain. The captain said, go to the front steps and I'll tell him you're coming and get behind him. Because I told him I had stitches. But this is what the prosecutor used against me, that I was having the officers help me and taken away from their duty. Well, I'm sorry, but you got to protect 40 stitches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You look behind you and you see this buffalo of people. You're scared. They're going to run over you. And I'm 69 years old at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm frightened. So after they pushed me down, God bless the Capitol Police, they pulled me up and got me behind them. Thank God.
That's good that they got you somewhere safe or away from the crowd, at least. That is. And it is like important to note that people were pushing the barriers out, because you hear a lot of people saying, oh, they were all moved and we were let in and all of that.
Yeah. They started it on both sides. Mm-hmm. On both sides.
Yeah, that is very important to get that out there so people aren't confused by the misinformation. Yeah. I want to ask, afterwards, were you immediately regretful of having been there, or how long did it take you to kind of look back and see maybe you were misled and things like that, and it wasn't something you should have taken part of?
Well, I kept hearing that night. And see what happened. I ended up staying to videotape because I thought it might be important. And plus, Boise's watching. I'm kind of their news. Mm-hmm. I'm not a journalist, though, a media licensed. But I went to the captain and I said, sir, why aren't they calling the National Guard? And he says, I can't get through to anybody. But I saw them coming in and out. So I don't know if I'm answering your question. I might be skipping it, but I thought they were letting them in. And what I know now, it was the other side. I didn't know the other side's going on, where they're really violent.
Yeah.
And Jacob Chansley goes in and everybody, they break in windows. So I see people coming in and out. So now I know who they are. But I thought they were letting us in, and I thought I'd need to get in to videotape if it's legal this time, get it on record. So I get close enough to the officers and I get shoved in. And you can't go back out. There's too many people coming in and out. So I went forward, sat down, and then the officers come to push everybody back out. And I told them, I can't get in this crowd. I can't. I got stitches and I'm in pain. And I've been stepped on, right? So he helped me out. His name's Joe. He took me out the other way of the Capitol. And then when I came back by the Capitol, I saw Jacob Chansley, the Buffalo Man. And I stayed there and videotaped him.
Yeah. So I guess just to ask, so what was the point for you that you realized, like, I need to get out of MAGA, or MAGA isn't something that I want to be in?
It evolved. It didn't happen overnight. Here I am in a J6 space, and they're talking bad about the FBI, right? I started the first January 6th Twitter space to get everybody in and help push back the government, right? I'm in the MAGA. That we weren't wrong, right? We are heroes. I love the victim. And they're talking about the FBI and how bad they are. And I'm thinking, do I share my experience with the FBI? Because it's not my experience. Can I tell you my experience with them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they came to my door, 7 of them maybe. I don't know. May have been marshals too. And my little chihuahua goes running out with no teeth. But they come in. They're very nice, very professional. I'm not exaggerating. And I said to who's ever in charge, I said, look, I'm so scared. I've never been to jail in my life. I'm frightened to death. I'm claustrophobic, big time claustrophobic, because I'm a PTSD survivor from childhood. And he said, don't worry, Miss Hemphill, it's going to be all right. We're going to have you out by 1. I said, well, I need to vape. I vape tobacco. And he says, go ahead and vape. It's okay. And then I had to change clothes because I was in my pajamas. So they had a female officer take me in the bathroom. And I don't want to make you think that this lady was unethical, because she wasn't. She didn't hug me or anything like that. But she treated me like my best friend. And I was crying, and she comforted me and said, I'm really sorry, Miss Hemphill. I understand. It's going to be all right. You know, she got me through it, because I even talking about it that day was very scary. And if it wasn't for how the FBI treated me, I don't know. It helped. They treated me good.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's always good to have people who are more empathetic when things like this are happening, especially when you don't know what's coming and such. And that's quite the contrary from what you hear a lot of MAGA and Republicans try to depict how the January 6ers are getting treated, where they try to say they're more like victims and getting poorly treated. I saw in another interview where you had talked about a Trump Truth Social post where he kind of tried to dramatize your situation, and you had to push back on that a bit. Could you recount that here for us?
Yeah, what had happened? Well, let me just back up a little bit.
Yeah.
How I turned around. I found out that Ryan Samsel, and I think he's getting sentenced right now, had lied to the Gateway pundit. He had told him that the prison guards or the jail guards had punched out his eye, his whole eye. And I thought, that's not okay. So I got in the J6 space, and I said, we got to advocate for this guy and get Congress down there. And because Gateway Pundit had put the story out. Come to find out, with reliable sources that I cannot give you, but very reliable, said no, his eyeball was not taken out. But his gift send and go went way high, over $80,000. It's a grift to get money. That's all. They lie about what's happening inside the jails. They lie about everything that's happening out there. I think I forgot your question. What was the question?
Oh, yeah, no, it was just about the Trump Truth Social post where he kind of tried to use your situation.
Yes. Yeah. And so that happened. That got me upset. That started me turning around, realizing they're all lying about everything. I mean, because they had used my situation, being arrested by the FBI, Gateway Pundit did. I mean, no, D'Souza said that a 69-year-old was dragged down the stairs. So they lie about everything. So I had to debunk that lie. So when that came out, I didn't realize that they would make it, put it all over the place, because I responded. And I said, don't be using me for anything. I've pleaded guilty because I'm guilty. Don't compare me with Hunter Biden. It's 2 different separate things, you know, and I really support Hunter Biden.
What brought you to voting for Joe Biden? And can you explain how you found yourself, how it felt voting for a Democrat after feeling like a Republican for so long?
Well, right now, you can't vote for any Republican. Just forget it. And my mission and my passion right now is sharing about Project 2025, how they want to dismantle our government and take away the gay rights, you know, and have you arrested if you have an abortion, on and on. You've got to research it. So that's why I'm still a Republican. I'm really trying to get the information out there to the Republicans.
I did want to ask you though, because you said that you do still consider yourself a Republican. So what is it, the difference between Joe Biden and Nikki Haley that makes you vote Joe Biden instead of trying to vote Nikki Haley, so to speak?
Well, all his policies are good. They're constitutional based.
Mhm.
And he, as you know, you could see in the news, he wants to do something about the border, but the Republicans aren't letting him. I mean, come on. They lie about everything about Joe Biden. No, he's trying to help our economy. He has a lot of good things going on in this nation right now that we need to back him and get behind him. And it's not about changing parties. We need the Republicans and the Democrats to have a nation. Just imagine if we just had one party, we have to have the checks and balances. So it's not about the party per se. It's about what policies are they representing for all the people, not just for the Christian nationalists, which they want to do, turn it into a Christian nation.
I think a lot of it is why they don't want people to know about their actual plans like Project 2025. And that's why they spend a lot of their time pointing their fingers like, oh, look at the Democrats and they're so bad, rather than showing people Project 2025, because they would probably lose a lot of voters if they did. I want to give you the chance, I guess, if there's anything I didn't bring up, anything you want to make sure that people hear in this interview, the floor is yours before we wrap up.
Well, just quickly, people are always asking. In fact, I'm going to have another interview because Europe is confused. All these countries are confused. How are they still voting for Trump? How is this MAGA base so enmeshed with Trump? Okay, number one, you got to remember, there's 4 things to think about. He used fear. It hijacks your brain when he's telling everybody that the Democrats, which we know now it's him, want to make this a communist country. It scares you and you believe him. And he says, and then the second thing he did was gaslight by telling you the election was not stolen. He does the love bombing. I'm doing this for you, not me. All the love bombing he does to make you feel like he cares about you, which narcissists cannot care about anybody. What was the other one? Well, the love bombing, the gaslighting, the fear, and that's how the brain gets hijacked into believing. And you know the story. You'd say it 3 times. It's the truth, right? Mm-hmm. But Trump's the problem. We got to put him in prison and shut him up. His mouth. I'm afraid of a civil war. I don't want to hear people talking about a civil war. No, there's not going to be a civil war. But you keep talking about it. And Steve Bannon, very dangerous man. He has it all planned. They got 3,000 people ready to go take over our system when Trump comes in office. So everything you can do to learn about Project 2025, I can't stress it enough. I think it'll get the voters, the Democrats, out there when they realize what's happening.
Awesome. Thank you. A very powerful message coming from somebody who was in MAGA themselves, saw the light, I guess, so to speak, or where they went wrong and saw it enough that she left MAGA and is now trying to get that message out there of the dangers of a group like that infiltrating politics. Pam, thanks again for talking to me, taking the time to speak with me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.